can get started. So can you all see my screen? Nice. Okay, so I think the call is being recorded now. Awesome. Okay, so in any way, if you're trying to raise your hand or calling my attention and I can't see you, it's simply because I'm on another tab on my laptop, and then I will advise you just unmute your mic and probably just let me know, right? Or then you can just put it in the chat. The sub mentor will see what's happening and you can call my attention so that we know what next to go, right? So we are starting with HTML. So what is HTML? Then, like I said initially, we can't go straight to asking ourselves what HTML is without asking ourselves what is web development at first. Okay, so web development has to do with building web applications. And then web applications work with different tools like HTML and CSS to be able to achieve a web at the end of the day. So the tools you use in building websites or web apps, they include a lot of things, but the basic blocks start from HTML and CSS. And then HTML is the standard markup language for web pages. So like it's been written down here. With HTML, you can create your own websites. HTML is easy to learn and you will enjoy it. So I'm very sure you will enjoy HTML. Okay. So let's head over to the introduction. Nice. All right, so HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is the standard markup language for creating web pages. HTML describes the structure of a web page, very important, describes the structure of a web page. HTML consists of a series of elements. HTML elements tell the browser how to display the content, very important. HTML elements label pieces of content such as this is a heading, this is a paragraph, this is a link, etc. So the most important pickup that I want us to have here is that HTML describes the structure of a web page. So first and foremost, I want us to consider what a page, what a web page looks like. So currently we are all connected on our computers. I will assume that, except you are connected on your phone. But even though you are connected on your phone, you are somehow connected to the web, and then you are accessing a web interface for you to be able to be in this class. So currently I'm going to use this website that I am using to explain how a web page looks like under the hood. So to a normal user, he just sees this place like a normal, what now? He just sees this like a newspaper, right? And then not just a newspaper, a newspaper that he can be able to access and click some buttons and make some access to what he's reading. But to you as a software developer or to you as a web developer, this page is being broken down into a lot of elements. And that's what they are trying to tell you here. HTML consists of series of elements. So if you understand that HTML have a lot of elements and you try to know most of these HTML elements, then you are done with understanding what HTML is. And then these elements that you see at the end of the day are used in building the structure of how the web page is going to look like. So when you are building a website or when you are building a web app, consider this like building a house. So when you want to build a house, there are different elements needed in building a house, right? We have the blocks, the window, let's say cement, sand, etc. A lot of elements that are used in building this house. So these elements consider them as HTML elements that you can use in building your website or your web page. So when a builder gather all of this, all you just have to do is maybe lay the foundation, right? And then HTML2 has a foundation that you have to lay before you are going to start arranging the blocks in it. So the process of arranging these blocks one after the another, mixing the sand together with the cement, and then trying to make the house come into shape exactly how the architect designed it, is basically same thing as building a website or a web page. So as a developer, you take the different elements that we have, and then we are going to expose all of these elements to you. Those different elements are what you are going to arrange bit by bit, and then at the end of the day, you are going to get the full structure of your website. Are we together? I think I should head back to the core. Awesome. Nice. So those different elements, like the blocks, the cement, the sand, etc., are what you use in building your house, right? And then when it comes to building web pages, the different elements we have include buttons. So a button is an element. This is just a text, not just a text. This is a link. So if I click this, it's going to take me somewhere. This is a text, and then I can just read this, copy it, do some basic stuffs. All these are the different elements used in building a web page. So it totally depends on you now, when you are building your web page, which of the elements do you need and which one do you want to use. So in the course of this lesson, we are going to see a lot of elements, and we should try to understand what they mean and what they do, right? So just know that at the end of the day, HTML is used in bringing out the structure of the web page, right? So let's head over to see the different elements. So this is a simple HTML document, right? And then we can try this out. So for me to try this out, I'm going to make use of CodePen, and then we'll try to visualize this, right? So can you see my screen? So if you are new here, you can just head over to codepen.io. This is just to give you a simple explanation of what we are working with. But at the end of this class, I expect everybody is going to have VS Code downloaded. Now, what is VS Code? So let's check out VS Code before we come back to CodePen, right? So let's just head over to the website and see what VS Code is. Oh, okay. So they don't seem to write any explanation about this. But VS Code is an IDE. So you can check it out here, and then you can download it into your local device. So the sub mentor can just send this to the group chat so you see what Visual Studio is. And then if you are using a Mac, you download it for Mac. If you are using a Windows laptop, do it for Windows. If you are using a Linux, you can download VS Code for Linux, because VS Code is our go-to location where we are going to be writing all our codes. And then it is a code editor that helps us design, structure our code, and then at the end of the day, publish it or deploy it. So that's what VS Code does. But in the meantime, we're going to be working with CodePen, and then CodePen is an online IDE. So it does the same thing that VS Code does, but this time around CodePen is online. And then I think we only use this for test cases, though there are still platforms where you can write your code and then deploy them from online, right? But we're working with we are going to be working with this so that we'll just easily visualize the representation, right, of how HTML, CSS, and JavaScript works. But this time around, we are going to start with HTML. So, like I said, when building a house, the first thing you need is your foundation, right? And then HTML has its own foundation, because the process of building a website, like I explained to you, is the same process of building a house. But this time around, you just have to identify that HTML gives you those elements that you use to structure out the house. And then CSS will then help you arrange the house to be properly styled. Maybe with CSS, you can be able to paint your house. With CSS, you can be able to put flowers. With CSS, you can be able to interlock the road, or you can be able to maybe paint your room and a lot of stuff, or put the chandelier, right? Or so that's the work of CSS, to shine it and to make it look beautiful. So what's the end of JavaScript? What's the work of JavaScript at the end of the day? So in your house, probably you have a switch and then you turn it on. And then when you turn it on, you can turn on the light of the chandelier, or you can turn up your bulb, or you can turn on the fan using just a remote, or using your remote to turn on your TV. Those small functionalities, or those stuff, that's what JavaScript does, right? And that's the same thing with our website. So HTML will structure the house, CSS will style it to make it beautiful, and then JavaScript will bring those functionalities into the house, whereby you can turn on your bulb, you can do this, you can open your gate with just a click of a button, etc. So JavaScript brings the functionality into the website. CSS makes it beautiful. HTML brings out the structure. With these three things, you are set to start building web applications. And then by the end of this course, we're expecting that you're already good at doing these three things and even more, right? So let's head over to HTML. So like I explained, HTML is the structure, right? And then before you are going to structure a house, you need a foundation. So let's start with the foundation of JavaScript. So of HTML. So first and foremost, we have something called doc type. And then doc type is just to signify that I'm using HTML5. So I think it's well explained here. We can just read it and understand what it does, right? So as you can see, this is it here. A simple explanation of what this looks like. So this is the foundation of a web page, right? Maybe aside these two. But let's understand what they do. So the doc type HTML. So declarations define that this document is an HTML5 document. So there are different versions of HTML, right? And then this doc type HTML at the top signifies that this is an HTML document, right? And then first and foremost, all those different elements, like the blocks that I was explaining about, these are the elements, and then these are what they look like. So like this HTML, this title, this H1, this P, all of them are elements, and they are what that are these are the elements that are being structured inside of this file to make it look exactly like an HTML page, right? Or to give you the structure of the web page. So let's start understanding what all of these elements do, right? So I think first and foremost, let's copy and paste this and see what it looks like in our code pen. I think that will make more sense. So let's save this. Nice. So you see what this looks like in our code pen. So this is the output. In your web page, this is what this will look like. My first heading, and then my first paragraph. So this are just the p tags. So let's understand what happened that we had this on the website. So this is what we are going to read now currently. And then let's head over. So the doc type HTML declaration defines that the document is an HTML5 document. So that's the use of this first one here. That's the reason why we have it, just to signify that this is a HTML5 document, so that when the browser is trying to read this or is trying to display your page, it's going to know which of the HTML versions you are working with, right? Or which type of HTML you are working with. So the next element that we come across is HTML, right? And then every HTML file is supposed to be wrapped around every HTML document is supposed to wrap around this HTML tag. So that's why we have it here, right? So if I go back to my code pen here, you can see this, right? So let me just clean this up. Good. So this is how the structure looks like. So first and foremost here, I'm signifying that this is a HTML5 document. And then I'm going to wrap my documents like this and signify that this is a HTML document, right? So let's hold over and read. So the element is the root element of the HTML page. So this is the root element. So every element starts from this. Every element has to be inside of this one, which is this HTML, right? And then there's something I also want you to understand. You are going to see that this element doesn't just have just one part, but it has let's say two different faces. Like you can see HTML here, and you can also see another HTML here, right? But the difference is that this one has maybe like a slash. So basically, these two things are this one single element, but this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag for this. So other items can also come in between this, right? But we are signifying that this is where our HTML document starts from and this is where it ends. So any other thing we are going to do is going to come inside here, right? So we'll understand this gradually. So this is the root element of the HTML page. That is every other page, every other item is going to go inside of this. And then the next thing is the head element. So the head element contains meta information about the HTML page. Nice. So this head element contains informations that are meta informations about the HTML page. Now, what are meta informations? So meta informations are informations that we don't want them to display in the web page, but they describe what the web page or what the web app looks like, right? Now, let's give easy examples of uh, meta elements. So first and foremost, the title. So every web page has a title, right? So if I click on this, can you see this? Hello, can you see like this tooltip at the top left that says VS Code, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. Nice. So let me just head over and continue explaining. So this tooltip now are where most of the items you insert on this metadata are, right? So the title of the web page. So currently you see they are using codepen.io here. You can also put the logo. Maybe for websites you go, you see this logo at the top. So all these are all contained inside of the head element. So these are meta informations, and we are going to get to know more meta informations, right? But then these are just small ones like the title, just to give a brief explanation of what the web page looks like. And then but this content is not going to be displayed on the web page. So let's have a look at how this works, right? So now we've inserted our HTML, right? So the next thing now is let's inside our head. So the next thing we say head. So head is the next element. So we're going to put the opening and the closing tag this way, and I will press enter so that we are going to inside the other elements inside of here, right? So first and foremost, we are telling the compiler that HTML is we're telling the browser that this is a HTML5 document, and then this is the root of the folder. That means this is where it starts and then this is where it ends. So our own HTML file is defined inside of this HTML. And then the next thing is that we are defining the head. We are saying that, okay, this is the information that is contained about this web page. So this is the title of the web page. So one of the things we can insert here is title. So we can just put the title of the web page. And then we can just say this is Fitech. So let's say it's fitechcommunity.com. So let's say we are building a website for Fitech community, right? Now notice Can you see Fitech here? Fitech doesn't display here, right? Simply because this is the metadata. Until when this is deployed and then somebody clicks this from his laptop or from his phone, he can be able to see all this information. Okay. So now, this is what is contained inside of the heading, meta informations. So we are going to get to know more about them. So now, in between this HTML, there are always two different elements, which is the head and the body. So the next thing I'm going to enter is the body. Then I'll put enter. Now notice, head is different, and then head has title inside of it, right? And then this is body. The body doesn't have anything inside of it currently, but we're going to insert. But both of them are inside of HTML. So we're signifying that this is our HTML document. It's an HTML5 document. This is where it starts from, and then this is where it ends. And then it has two elements inside, which is the head and the body. So the head contains the meta information, which is just the description of what is this website, what is the title, does it have a logo, where is it, what is the description about this, etc. And then the body. So the body now is where we are going to insert all the elements that we need in building our website. So this is where we are going to start structuring it, right? So we do it in the body. Now, let's head over to see different elements that we can access. So here they said title. So element specifies a title for the HTML page. So like I described, which is shown in the browser's title bar or in the pages bar tab, right? So, and that's that tooltip that we saw. And then body. So body element defines the document's body, and it's a container for all the visible content, such as headings, paragraphs, images, hyperlinks, tables, links, etc. So that's the work of the body, right? So the body is the visible content. So anything that you want to be visible on the web page must be inserted inside of body. And then that's where we put all these other elements like headings, paragraphs, images, etc. So now, so we also have an H1 there, which describes a large heading, and then this P describes a paragraph. So let's head over to see more of them. Nice. So these are some examples, and then this is how it will look like on the web page, like we explained, right? So as you can see, they inserted. So this is a tooltip, or I said tooltip. This is the title, index.html. I think so. And then my first heading, my first paragraph, this is how it looks like. So this is also a structure of a web page, just to visualize how it looks like I explained. As you can see, this is the HTML, right? This is where it starts from, this is where it ends. This is the heading. So heading have their own content and they are all in here. And then body is separate. Body has this, and body has H1, PP inside, and this has title, right? Okay, so you can just head over and read probably the history of HTML, how it all got started, and then their introductory video to get you started also, right? So always head over to this. But for now, let's go to HTML elements. Is somebody raising their hand?
Please, your screen is not showing, sir. Please, you can check your settings.
Okay, that's yes. Let me fix that. All right, can you see my screen now? Awesome. So let's have a look. So these are different elements, and then as you can see, nested HTML elements. So HTML elements can be nested, and then that's what we are doing here, right? Whereby you can insert an element inside of another element. So that's what it's called HTML element nesting. So this means that elements can contain other elements, right? All HTML elements consist of nested HTML elements. All right. So now inside of the body, we can start inserting all of the different elements. And then the first and the most important elements that everyone gets started from is the HTML headings. So HTML headings are titles or subtitles that you display on your web page. So when you want to display a title or a subtitle, this is the best place to go to, right? You use HTML elements. And then these are the different elements, right? So HTML elements are defined from the H1 to H6 tags. So these are the different tags. So these are tags. This is a tag too. So from H1 to H6. So let's see what H1 looks like. So let's do an H1 in our code pen, and then so let's say H1, and then let's say welcome to Fitech. Nice. So you see how it looks on our web page, right? Because H1 is inside of body, that is why it is visible and we can see it on our web page, right? So there are different H1 tags. So H1 is the biggest of all the headings. So we can also do an H2. And then let's say H2. So let's repeat the same thing. Welcome to the Fitech community. Nice. So can you see how H2 looks smaller? So let's just try to replicate this and do it to H6. So H3. So you see, the larger you go, the smaller the number becomes. Or let's just head over here and just copy and paste from H4 to H6 and see what they look like. Awesome. So do you see how they look like? H1 is the biggest or the largest down to H6, which is the smallest. So if you want to write headings or subtitles on your web page, you want it to have headings or you want it to have subtitles, you use the H1 tag. So the most important thing is that you have to know the different elements to make use of, right? That's the best thing, and that's the best explanation I can give, because you cannot be able to maybe where you're supposed to have where you're supposed to use sand, you are using cement, or where you're supposed to have a window, you are putting blocks there. No, 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 it's not going to be possible, right? Simply because you have to know the different elements that you have to work with at the end of the day. So let's just fix this and put Fitech there. So when you want to use subtitles or headings, you know that I have to go to H1, right? Or H2 or H3 or H4, depending on how I want it to look like on the web page, how I want it big or how I want it small, right? So the next thing now is let's look at other types. So we've seen how H1 to H2 or H6 works, right? So headings are important. Search engines use headings to index the structure and content of your web page. Yeah, users. So we don't necessarily have to read this, right? All right. So you can also try out different things here too. in Web3 in W3 schools. So the next type is, or the next tag is the paragraph tag or the P tag. So the HTML element defines a paragraph. So when you want to write bunch of text, you use the P tag. So a paragraph always starts on a new line, and browser automatically adds some white spaces, imagine before and after a paragraph. So let's see what a paragraph looks like in CodePen. So let's add a new type, and then let's say P, and then P. And let me just generate some bunch of text. I don't know if it does it here. Okay, nice, it does. All right, so I just generated a bunch of text using lorem ipsum so that I can be able to simulate what a paragraph looks like. So this is what a paragraph element's contents look like. As you can see, you have a bunch of words, and they are both not so big like the H1, right? Or like the H4. So this is another element. So when you want to write probably a bunch of text, you want to write an article, you want to put a bunch of information for people to read, you already know the best element to use, right? You don't have to use H1 or H2. All you just have to do is use the paragraph tag so that you're going to impute your information. So let's check out the next one. Oh, so it's already asking us to start. Oh no. Oh, sorry, please, a moment. So let's head over to see different elements. So we have the paragraph tag, and then aside that, we also have other bunch of elements that we can use. So the web page doesn't just use text, right? The web page can also take information from you, right? The web page can also display an image for you, right? etc. So these are the different things that the web page can do. So let's try to simulate what they look like. So let's try out the input box. So this input box, nice. So inputs are used to take information from users, right? So as you can see, by just putting input here, it generated an input box for me, and I can be able to type information inside. Can we all see? Or type my name or etc. So there are a lot of things that input box takes. And then there are two things I want you to notice. In all of the elements we have been using, they always start from maybe a paragraph tag. Like this paragraph tag has an opening and a closing tag, right? Meaning it has, anyone that has this slash is a closing tag, meaning that's where it ends. Anyone that has this at the beginning without the slash is the opening tag. But if you notice, the input doesn't have either an opening or an closing. It only has the slash at the end. So there's what we call elements that have self-closing tags. So we call them self-closing tags, meaning they don't necessarily need to have anything in between. Like in the input, why do you need anything in between of an input box? Right? Instead, you have to just nest an input inside maybe another element. And that's why we're nesting the input inside of body. So this input is a self-closing, it has a self-closing tag, and that's because you cannot nest anything inside of an input box, right? So the next thing is we have to look is what we call attributes. So each of these elements have what they call attributes. So attributes determine what these elements can do. Take for example now, let's say let's say the different elements you use in building a house. Take for example, you have the block, right? So the block can, when you want to style a block, or probably let's say the attributes you can give a block is maybe let's say you can plaster a block, you can paint a block, etc. Right? But when it comes to, let's say you're using a different element like a window, you can't add cement to a window, right? It's not possible. There's no way you can do that. So there's what we call attributes. And attributes are the way that these elements behave. And there's the way that all these different elements behave. So take for example, like the input box. You can specify the type of input because there are different type of inputs, right? Inputs like text, you can input a text. Let's say this. Now that's why I'm able to input a text. Maybe let's do it here and say text. So with this now, I know that all I can insert here is a text, right? That's what this input box accepts. And then type is an attribute, meaning that input box is supposed to have a type. But paragraph doesn't need to have a type. Why? A paragraph is a paragraph. There's nothing like a type of a paragraph. But input box has a type because there can be different input box, like text, and then let's say number. So you can set your input box so that it accepts only number, right? So you see, as you can see, this one doesn't accept text. If I type in text, I'm typing the text now, but it's not. So what it's accepting is numbers. If I insert numbers, I'm inserting text is not going in, though E is a number, which stands for exponential, right? But if I type in numbers, I can get them here. I can also increment this, reduce it. So it depends. If it's a number, you are trying to get information from a user from, this is, you use a number type. You don't use a text. So there are different types. So we can try more. Let's say, so we can also have radio buttons. And then this is what it looks like, right? This is for selection. So maybe you just want user to maybe select, maybe let's say, let's use another new type now and call it label. So label is used to label the different inputs we have. So maybe we can say maybe male. So we have different gender and then we are labeling this male. So a user can be able to choose either he's male or female. So let's try this out. So let's copy this and paste, and then let's say female. So this is how this works, right? So at the end of the day, the user can choose, oh, I'm male, or I'm female, like that, like that. That's how these radio buttons work, right? So that's their input type. And then let's insert this also. So let's do another input. No. So you guys don't remind me. Inputs have what we call self-closing tags, right? So, and then let's say this type is text. So, and then we can also label it. So like I said, labels are used to label an input. Okay, like what is this input for? So there are also different attributes we can add to an input box. So let me not use labels for now. Let's use placeholder. So placeholder are just a bunch of informations that you just put inside of the input box to just signify what you want the person to put in there. So maybe let's say name. So as you can see, this inside the input box is showing name. So maybe let's say enter name. So it's just to add like more description for the user to tell him maybe enter your name, and then the user enter name. And then when the user clicks this and start entering his name, you see the input, the placeholder is no longer there. So the placeholder just stands in place of the main information that we need to be on the input box. Right? Are we together? So let me see your emojis if we are together. And then I would love to take questions if there are any so far. All right, who's raising up their hands? We don't have any questions. How do we input number and letters? Okay, number and letters together, right? Is that your question? Awesome. So to input number and letters, all you just have to do is make the input box text. So let's go back now and let's say we have text. So this one that is input box text that has name, right? You can insert a number here. So as you can see, I'm putting in numbers and they are going in. But if you want it to be strictly number, take for example, is the person's phone number you want to collect, then you make it number. So that all the person has to insert is going to be a number. And then the person will not make mistake to insert maybe a text instead of his phone number. Because you are trying to get the right information from the user. Right? Are we good to go? Can we proceed? All right. So let's look at more. So let's try to look at images now. So the next type, you see all what we are inserting are all inside our body, right? And we are using it to structure our web page. And then we say, welcome to Fitech community. So let's arrange this properly. Let's start making it look like our real website. So we are glad to have you on this journey with us. We hope you enjoy the ride with us. All right, so let's say, and then when the user comes, we then ask him, what's your name? So let's say, what's your name? And then male or female, the person selects, and then we can just add a button. So the next one now is a button. So let's see how a button looks like. So call it button, and then so we close the tag here, and then we say, what do we say now? So what do we call this button? Let's say join us now, because we want you to join Fitech community. So you see what this looks like, right? This is what a button looks like. And then you can be able to click this. You see it's clickable. And then when you hover it, right? So the CSS is meant for styling. As you can see, all these just look like the structure of the button, unlike the one that looks on CodePen that has all these beautiful styles. So you need CSS to style this to make it beautiful. But then this is the structure of every single web page that you meet or that you see, right? And then aside that, let's say we want to add up an image. So one of the elements we are going to check out too is, let's say, an image. So let's say after the button, we have an image. And this is what an image looks like. So you put the image in an img tag, and then it's also self-closing. And then image has an attribute called source. Now, source signifies the source of where the image is coming from. Now, there are different ways you can insert an image. Maybe you can get an image online, which is maybe from an online source, or probably you have it in your local device and you want to display it on the web page. So let's see. Let's try to add up a source here. And then let's get an image from online, right? So let's just search free images. Let's see if we can get one. I just hope. So I like this. Oh, come in. Okay, so let's get a link to the image. So this is a link to the image. I want to display this image on our website, right? So we just head over to CodePen, and inside of the source, we just insert this link. So when this saves, this should display in our website. So can you see? So the source of this image is online. That's why we're getting the URL from online, right? And then we're displaying it here on our web page. And then we can be able to style this to make this look better, make this look beautiful. And then there's another link called, there's another attribute in image called alt. So alt stands for, or as name implies, alternative. So if the image is not found, maybe there's an issue. Imagine that maybe we are getting this image from an external link and then the link somehow breaks. Maybe let's say if we take out the A here, this image is not going to display again, simply because the link is broken. Oh wow, this is magic. Nope. Okay, so let's say we took this out. I think it has loaded this already, so it's going to keep showing. Oh, now the best thing, this is proving stubborn. We are going to take you out. All right, so now there's no source, and then the link cannot be found, but we have an image tag. So we can use this alternative to give a description of what the image looks like. Maybe let's say picture of a teacup. So you see, the image did not display, but it's showing me picture of a teacup. But as soon as I insert the source and it gets the image, it's not going to show me a picture of a teacup. It just shows me the picture of the cup, of the teacup, right? But if it doesn't find this picture, if there's a broken link or something, then it displays this. So that's just the use of this attribute. And then this attribute is only for images. It doesn't apply to any other one. You see, I did not use it for either H tags or maybe the P tags or the inputs, not at all. I use it mainly for images, right? So basically, this is how most web pages are structured, and then this is how they look like. So there are other data and there are other informations that we can use. So let's say after the image, the next one now is list. So let's say we want to display like a list of data or a list of information on a web page, right? So let's see how we can achieve that. So all we just have to do is to use the UL and the LI tags to be able to achieve this. Now, first and foremost, we have different type of lists, right? We have ordered lists and we have unordered lists. So let's see what the ordered list look like. So first and foremost, to create an ordered list, you use the UL, and then let's do the closing tag, and then say UL. And then in between this, we are going to insert the list of data or the list of information that we want to insert. So the first one, now to insert this, to insert the list of data, you use li to signify list, li. And then we put the closing. So let's say the items on this list, let's say I want to insert the list of items I need, let's say my to-do list today. What are the list of things I have to do today? So let's say teach HTML. Let's say no. Yeah, let's just start from teach HTML. So teach HTML at Fitech. So let's see what this looks like. So this is the list, right? As you can see. So number one, teach HTML at Fitech. And then let's do another list. And then that's my number two. And I say go out to stroll. Go on a stroll. So I also want to stroll after the class. And then that's my second to do. So as you can see, and then it's giving me in bullet points how they look like, right? So this is for unordered list, meaning this is not properly ordered, or this is not ordered. So let's see what an ordered list look like. So let's work with this li. This time around, when you want to do an ordered list, you work with ol instead of ul. So when you do the ol stuff, to signify an ordered list, let's say the first li. Nice. So let's say the first li is teach HTML at Fitech. Nice. So can you see this time around? It's not just giving me bullet points, but it's giving me one. So let me copy the second one and then insert it there. So as you can see on the list now, it's giving me two, right? So and so on and so forth. As you keep going, it gives you 3, 4, etc. Those are the different type of lists we have: unordered lists and ordered lists. Unordered lists and ordered lists. So unordered lists just give us bullet points and doesn't have anything to do with numbering, but for ordered lists, we get the numbers for everything. So I will pause here so I take questions. So are there any questions? I want to hear your questions, please. So we don't have any questions. All right, if I shoot.
Yeah, can you please explain the label again? That label. Can you just brief and explain it for us?
Okay.
Thank you.
So label is just to explain, like just to define what the input is for. So take for example now, I'm creating a form. So after this, we are going to create a form. So let's see what a form looks like. So form is where you use this input and this label to get information. But this time around, I just want to describe that this input box is for female. So are you male or female? Is what I'm asking here, right? and then I'm labeling it. So the first one is male, female, and that's just what it looks like. So it's the same thing with like having a text, but this time around, label works with input box. And then with this label, I can tie this label up with this input. So take for example, I can give this input an ID. So with this input can also have an ID of, let's say, let me use female. So with the label, I can say HTML, let's use HTML4. So this HTML is for female. So that's what I'm trying to say, right? So now with this, I don't have to click on female. Let me see. Okay, so I think nice. So let's use 4. Now, how this works is that if I use for female and the ID of this is female, is that how this label works is basically I'm saying this label is for this input. So you don't necessarily have to click on this button. Like when I come here, if I click on male, as you can see, because I did not tie this for to male, it won't select this. But if I tie this to this, if I click on this, it can select this. I don't necessarily have to click this for it to work. So let me just refresh this and then let's see what it looks like. Nice. So when I just come here, I don't have to click this button. I can just click female. You see, if I click male now, it doesn't select anything. But if I click female, it selects this one. So that's just one of the things that label do. If we work with forms properly, you will understand basically what they do. But they work mostly with input boxes, right? So is that clear? Yeah, fine.
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, so another question: can we nest or merge on ordered with ordered on ordered lists? Let's try that out. So let's say I haven't tried it before. Well, let's do it. So let's say we take the whole of this on ordered list and put it inside of an unordered list. Well, I think basically it will look like a list. Let's see what it will look like. So you see, it's a list inside of another list. Basically, that's how it works. So first, second, and then under this is inserting the unordered list. So you see how it looks like. So yeah, so the best way to learn this is by experimenting yourself. Now you have the leverage and you have the right to scatter anything currently. So try as many elements as possible, do a lot of things with images, insert them, create forms, input boxes, etc. Actually, the class is currently, I think, is it recorded? I don't think so. But I don't have a slide currently. What I'm working with is W3 schools, but I can come up with a slide and then send it so you can be able to access, right? Okay, nice. The class is recorded. So you can do well to watch the recording after this and then understand basically what we're trying to explain here. So let's look at more of this, right? So links. Yeah, I think links are important. So link and hyperlinks. Now, this is how it works. So it works with where's my code pen? So another one I would like to mention is links. So links work in a tag, and then they have an opening and a closing tag. You might have come across this a lot of times when you're working with websites, right? And then one attribute of link. So let's say I want to do a link that's maybe from my web page, you can be able to click that link and it's going to maybe redirect you to maybe let's say Facebook or Twitter. So let's use Facebook. So let's say go to Facebook. So from my website, I just want to go to Facebook. So the way that this works is that inside of the heading tag or the opening tag of the A, which is the hyperlink, I'm going to insert an attribute called href. And then href signifies where I want the person to go if he clicks on that link. So as you can see, this is how the link look like. You see, right? It says go to Facebook. So if I click on this, it doesn't take me anywhere. It still keeps me here, right? Because I haven't inserted this href. But if I insert this href and it's a link to Facebook, it's going to take me there directly. So let's insert the links to Facebook now. Say facebook.com. So this is a link to Facebook. And then I want, if you click go to Facebook, it should take the user to Facebook. So let's try this out. So I click on this now. So oops, you see, Facebook refused to connect. So I think Facebook doesn't connect with CodePen because CodePen is what's it called? It's inside of the browser. So I don't think this is just a simulation. And then this simulation can't seem to open Facebook page for us. So let's just reconnect. So but I attempted to go to Facebook, but it just didn't, right? So I think there's a way to do it here where you can open in a new tab. But for now I can't seem to remember. So, but that's just how it works out. That's how these hyperlinks work. So you can not just maybe select only Facebook or maybe links that are external links. You can also insert links that are links within your website, right? That somebody can access. But just so that when you are trying to insert a link to another place, you use the A or the A tag, and then you insert the location that you want this to go to inside of the href, which is the hyper reference. So this is another tag, and it's called the hyperlinks. So is there any confusion on that? Are we together? All right, so let's push. So mostly you see how links work, right? So so hyperlinks, links are hyperlinks. You can click on a link and jump to another document. We can move the mouse over a link and mouse arrow and turn into a little head, just like how you showed us there. And then, so you can see how they work with it here, right? This is a link to W3 schools. And then if you click on this, it takes you to W3 schools. So these are some of the attributes, right? So targets, by default, the link page will be displayed in the current browser window. To change this, you must specify targets for the link. So let's work with this. Let's use targets now so that let's see how this will work, where it will take us on that place. So let's say target and let's use blank so that it will take us to a new web page instead of just accessing in between or here, right? Since we click here and it didn't open. So let's say targets and then we'll say blank. So what's to open in a blank complete web page? So let's just head over and click go to Facebook. So as you can see, it opened the Facebook link directly for me in my laptop. Right? Are we together? Good. So that's simply because I changed the target and I'm telling it, don't open it within the browser tab that I am. Open it probably in another different page, in a blank page. And then there are a lot of targets that you can add up here. If you go to W3 School, you can see it. So in this target, we can say default. So default is self. So this is default. So it will open it in the same browser document that we are. So opens the document in the same window or tab as it was clicked. So blank opens the document in a new window or a new tab. Parent opens the document in the parent frame, right? Then top opens the document in the full body of the window. That's how it works. So like I explained, there are what we call absolute URLs and then relative URLs. So absolute URLs are URLs that I found from external, maybe like google.com, like facebook.com. These are what we call absolute URLs. And then relative URLs are URLs that are within our web page. Take, for example, if we have another link or we have another page that we want a user to click and go to from the link or from the href, we can do it. So if you click on that link, it takes you to another page within our website, not outside our website. So absolute URL are outside of our website, pages that we access outside. And then relative are pages that we can access within our website or files that we can access within our website. Are we together? Are we together? Nice. So you can also make images links, right? How do we make images links? So we can do it this way. All you just have to do is to wrap the A over the image. So if I come back here in code pen, remember we have an image here, right? So this is our image. And then for me to make this image a link, whereby if you click this image, it should take us to another page. So let's say I want it to be that if you click this image, it should take us to, let's say, google.com. So I can just say href, and then I insert the link to Google. I insert the link to Google, right? And I say https google.com. All right, so all I just have to do is that I will wrap this image over this. So I'll just copy this image and then insert it inside of the anchor tag. So now watch out. If I click on this image, you see it already pops up the button, this button. You see, change the cursor to a little head, right? So if I click on this, it's going to take me to google.com. So let's try this out. Okay, so we made the same mistake. So we have to change our target now, right? Oh, I should have asked. So our target is what now? What do we put as target? Blank. So that it will take us to a brand new page. So if I click on this, watch out. You see, it takes me to google.com. And then I can be able to access and do different stuff there. So that's how to make an image a link, right? Any other question? All right, so let me proceed. So let's see people that are on the call. I'm open to get feedback from you guys if you're understanding what's happening currently. And then we'll also be having questions and assignments after this. So get ready. And then there will be lots of assignments for you guys. So if you are not understanding what's going on in class, do well to always ask so that we can explain it properly. And then you can be able to keep up with your assignments, right? If you don't understand properly in class, there's no way you might be able to handle that. All right, Joseph, shoot.
Okay, please, can you the image stuff that you did, can you redo it, please?
Yeah, sure. So this time around, what's happening is that I want to make an image a link whereby this image is not like any regular image, but it's an image that if you click, it takes you to maybe a different website or maybe to a different page automatically, right? So this is how to handle it. The best way to do it is to wrap the image around this anchor tag. So let me try to undo this. So first and foremost, this image was on its own, right? That's why if you click on this, it's not going to take you anywhere because this image is a standalone image. But if I want to make this image a link, all I just have to do is create an anchor tag like this. Inside the link that I want, if you click the image, you should go to. Add the target and say that this should be a brand new page that you should open. And then my target is blank. And then all I have to do is to copy the image, copy it, and then paste it inside of the anchor tag. So having this image inside of the anchor tag makes it a link. So if I click on this, it's going to take me to Google and I can access it. Do you understand that? Or was I too fast?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's okay.
Awesome. So you can just bring down your hand so others can also raise. So I'm waiting for your questions.
You are muted, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm so sorry. I forgot to connect my laptop and I was just talking all along. And it was low that I got off without me knowing. So let's continue from what we were discussing earlier and then let me continue sharing my screen. So for those of you on this call, I hope you are all on Twitter, right? If you're not on Twitter, please signify. Oh, nice. Ah, Halima, why? Okay, Halima, I suggest you get a Twitter account. So all of you have to be on Twitter and then be because that's the best way to document your journey and to know where you are. So just hang on a little. All right, so let's head over to CodePen. Do you have any question? Or I might use LinkedIn instead. Yeah, so LinkedIn is cool also. Yeah, makes sense. So you're supposed to have a Twitter and a LinkedIn account. So everyone should do well to get that, right? So we have seen how to insert an image or how to make an image a link, right? So let's check out maybe how to put, okay, so let's check out tables and then we'll come back to block and inline elements. Okay, so tables are a bit complex, and then there's a way you create tables in web pages. Tables are not very well structured at first, but there are different ways, or there are different ways actually to create tables, right? But for HTML's sake, this is the best way to get started with creating tables. So tables have its own plenty elements, as you can see. So first and foremost, you have to wrap like the whole elements inside of a table. That's why you have the table at the beginning, table at the end. And then each of these table has their role. In the table row, you can choose to enter the table head and then insert the table data. So basically, that's just how it looks like. So let's try out a table and see what it looks like in CodePen. So to create a table, all I just have to do is all right. So to create a table, all I just have to do is create table. So let's close the tag here. So how table works is that each table has a role. So like how tables are explained, they are arranged in rows and in columns, right? So all you just have to do is be insert a table role. So a table role is denoted as TR. So we are signifying that this is a role, right? Then we'll click on enter. And then what are the things we want to insert in the role? So let's say this is the heading of the table. So we say TD. So to say that this is a heading, you use TH to signify that this is the heading, meaning table head. So I say TH, and then now what's the heading? So let's say our table collects two things, name, and then I'll insert another heading inside of the role. Notice. So let's say name. So it takes your name, your email, and lastly, what's happening? So let's try to visualize this. So you see it's already arranged in our table here. Name, email, and then I can add another table head. And then this time around, I will say phone number, right? So let's just say these are the three table head. So first and foremost, I have to create another new table role to be able to add data to this table. So let's say I want to insert my own data in the table. So I will insert my name, my email, and my phone number. So I'll use another different T row. So you see, these are different rows in the same table, right? And then this row have their different maybe headings or data inside. So why I signify this as table head is to show that this is the heading of the table. And that's why it's bold here. So the next element I can use inside the next row is say maybe TD. So TD stands for table data, meaning this is the data in the table. And then I want to insert my name first, or let's use manu.dev. So I want to insert my name. So if you scroll down, you can see under name, you can see, but this one is bold, this is not bold, simply because this is signified as table head here. And then this other one is signified as table data. So the next thing now is to insert my another table data, which takes my email. So this is my email. And then lastly, I'll put the table data that says my phone number. So let's say this is my phone number. Nice. So you see the way this data looks like, how it's arranged. Name gives you this. Email gives you this. Phone number gives me this. Likewise, I can choose to insert other people's information. So all I just have to do is insert another table row. So let's get someone. Somebody should give me his information so that I can insert it here. Just give me your name, your email, or let's just form someone, right? Okay, someone wants to attend. Nice. So yeah, Rufai, you can just supply your email here, or just tell me why I write it down. Yeah, Rufai, I'm with you. So let's say Rufai, and then
Yeah, Rufai Usman.
okay, and then your email as well.
Rufai Usman.
Rufai Usman at
Usman
gmail.com.
USM. Yeah, 51 at gmail.com.
Oh, nice. So Usman, we're going to put your number now so that you are going to start making friends today.
Okay.
So that they'll call you after the class. So let's have your number. So our guys from all the different locations. So let's use +234.
070
Okay.
13
13
67
67
36
36
16.
16. Awesome. So let's see Rufai's details below. So can you see after manual dev with my email and my name, you can see Rufai's information here, right? So likewise, that's how we keep inserting the information inside the table, and that's how we create the table. So it might look very ugly for now, but this is how you structure every web page at first. And then you use the CSS to style it to make it look beautiful. And then you can also position it using CSS. Or maybe you can resize it. You can say, I don't want this picture is too big. I want this to look smaller. I want this picture to be on the left. I want this text to be on the right, and I want it to be green color. I want this to be at the topmost right. You use CSS to do all of that. But if you want to structure it, the best thing you have to use is HTML, right? So let's head over to the next element. So we're going to use today to discuss all the elements, and if possible, install VS Code, so that we are going to start working with VS Code immediately, right? We only have 2 times in a week to meet, and then that's not enough time to achieve a lot of things. So you all have to work on your own personal basis, work on yourselves properly, and then make sure you're in sync with the class. I expect everybody to be ahead of the class, like way, 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 way ahead, not you moving with the pace of the class. Because to be honest, the pace of the class is slow because we want to carry everyone along, but your own pace can be faster. Not can, it's supposed to be faster, right? So let's try other stuffs. Okay, so there's what we call block and inline elements. So most of the elements we have talked about are either part of a block or an inline element. So we are going to understand what block and inline means. So every HTML element has a default display value. So default display meaning how it's going to display on default. So depending on what type of element it is, the two most common display values are block and inline. So it can either display block meaning it is stacked on top of each other. That's why when we insert H1, H2, H3, H4, you can see all of them are sitting beside each other, right? But or under each other. That is H1 comes first, H2 comes first. These are block elements. And then there are what we call inline elements. That is, they display on default in line. So if you insert them without styling, they will display in a single line, not on a block level. So a block level element always starts on a new line, and the browser automatically adds some space, a margin before and after the element. So you see what a block element looks like. So anyone you see that starts on a new line, any elements that you use that starts on a new line is a block element. So two most commonly used are paragraph and div. So we're also going to be talking about divs. So you are going to use divs a lot of time because divs are just divisions, and then you can use it for basically anything and then style it properly how you want it to look like. So as you can see, the div element defines a division or a section in the HTML document. That's what a div signifies, a section or a division of the HTML of the element. So these are some of the block level elements. So as you can see, there are plenty elements we haven't checked. So I expect each and every one of you to check all these elements, like videos, how to add videos. So I think that will be your assignment, right? Your assignment is that you are going to check out all the different block level elements, how to add a video into your web page, and then how to use most of these elements so that we'll see how they work. So inline elements. So inline elements does not start on a new line. An inline element only take as much space as necessary. So it's only the space that is available for an inline element that is going to make use of. That's why you see these are example of inline elements like span, like this anchor tag, var, etc, small, and the rest of them. Label that we made use of. So let's try to visualize this and see how they look like. So let's go back to code pen, and then this time around I will display this go to Facebook twice so that let's see how it's going to display, whether it's to display inline or block. Good. Now notice this. Go to Facebook again doesn't start on a new line, or maybe let's change this to go to WhatsApp. So go to WhatsApp doesn't start on a new line. It just takes as much space as possible. So Facebook took as much space as it could take, and then go to WhatsApp took as much space as could take. So that's why it's just displaying in a single line. That's why they are called inline elements, and it's not displayed in a block level, right? So basically, that's how inline and block level elements work. So I expect you to know all the different types of inline and block level elements, right? So we can also take a look at divs. So like I explained, a div is just a container. It's just used as a container. That's why most of the time, every people use divs. So you can use divs to maybe group your data or group your elements. You want your elements to be maybe in one particular section, in one particular box. So look at a div like a box. So you have a box, and then inside your box, you can have different things that can go inside. You can have your pencil, have your biro, your books, your power bank, or let's look at a div like your bag. Good. So every developer has a bag, right? And then your bag is a container to your laptop, your charger, maybe your jotter, your mic, etc. All the different stuff that you are using, your AirPod, blah 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 blah. So you can have it inside of your bag. So your bag is the container. And then when you want to move your bag around, you don't have to necessarily carry these things in separate hands and then move them around. You just have to put them in your bag and then you move your bag around. So anywhere your bag goes, all your elements goes inside. If your bag gets missing, all the items that are inside your bag gets missing. So that's how a div works. A div is like the parent that takes charge of all the different elements that you put inside of it. Right? So there's something called parent and child elements. I think this is the best time to explain this. I didn't want to explain this from the start because it might get a little bit boring from the start, but when it gets to where we are going to see the use is where we get the proper explanation of where it works, how it works. So this is how parent and child element works. So as you can see, this is HTML, right? This is the opening tag, and then this is the closing tag. So in this case, this HTML element is the parent to whatsoever element that is inside of it. So as you can see, all the elements inside of this HTML now, they are regarded as the child to the HTML. And then inside this body now, we have H1, H2, H3. So all these data that are inside this body are the child to the body. So the body is the parent of these elements, right? And then still that same body is still the child to HTML itself. So that's the best way to display it. And then there's what we call indentation. If you notice, if an element is inside of another one, or if it's a child of another one, when I want to insert it here, it doesn't start on the same line as this body, right? Like when I wanted to insert H1, there has to be a space between H1 and this. And then everything that goes inside body is now on the same line. It's what we call indentation. So indentation just helps so that you can read your code easily. And then people can understand what you are doing. Fellow devs like you can open your code and see what is happening. And then if someone new comes to your code base, you don't necessarily, even you yourself, right? You will understand how the structure of the page looks better if you indent it. So indentation is key. I think there are a lot of tools that can help you do indentation by default, but you should learn how to indent yourself so that you know how to insert every element where it's supposed to be. So if it's a child of a particular element, remember that it's not supposed to be on the same line. It's supposed to have maybe like a tab or 4 spaces before the new element, right? So I've spoken a lot, and then I should get questions now. That's what's important. Any question? So if there's no question, I think I'll ask question. Yeah. So who do we start with? So let's start from Caleb. Ah, Caleb left the meeting as soon as I mentioned his name. That's serious. All right, I think I saw one name here. Adetayo. Let's start from you. Adedayo. Adedayo Tunji. Yeah. So Adedayo, can you just let us know what you've learned so far? Just to be in sync, to know that you've been following.
Can you hear me? Good morning.
Yeah, sure, you can.
Um, well, I'm sorry, let me first start from where you said the HTML part. I learned how to how to include image source, the list, the nested list, the meta part, and everything about the HTML that you mentioned.
Oh, nice. So can any other person help us out? Eliza Musa, let's hear from you.
Okay. Good morning, all.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay. HTML gives structure to the whole website. So HTML is like the beauty, the painting of the website. So it gives structure, gives styling to the website. So you can have you also have inline and block level what are they called? Inline and block level I can't
Elements.
remember the name. Elements. So you can use either, and then they are different in the sense that inline elements display on a single line, and then block level elements display on top of each other. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Just that HTML doesn't give you styling, right? HTML doesn't add to the beauty of the page. CSS helps with the beauty of the page. So HTML is just for structure. So that's a great one there. Nice one. So Chibike, let's hear from you. Is Chibike with us? How about Taibat or Layinka?
I learned that HTML is the framework of the website, and CSS is used for styling. Then JavaScript is used for making the website interactive.
Nice, nice. So let's hear from Taibat. Can you mute your mic? Okay. I don't see Taibat's on the call, right? So let's go with Ruben. What have you learned so far?
Morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning.
I learned about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, as what GBK said. HTML is used for the forms of your page. It's used for the forms of your page. CSS is used for the styling. It's used for the styling of the page. JavaScript is used for the interaction for the page. That's what I learned today.
Okay. So Taibat Olayinka is not yet back, right? So let's proceed, and then we'll come back to type out subsequently. So just give me a minute so I can be able to check where we are supposed to stop today, right? So in the meantime, like I said, do well to meet one another, right? And then when the assignments start coming in, do well to share ideas with each other. Right, sorry, please. Okay, so let's look properly now into attributes. So like I said, these elements are what form the structure of the web page, and then these elements have what we call an attribute. And then attribute defines the behavior of how these elements work out. So let's check out attributes that all of these make use of. So I'm going to continue sharing my screen. All right, so as soon as I display these attributes and we can be able to see them, I want to know how many of you are connected on your laptop. Please just signify. I need your answers now so that I will know. You can just keep your hands raised up, right? So that I will know. Please, I need your answers. Five people, just five people. Because I want us to download our VS Code today. It shouldn't wait till tomorrow. I would like us to do it in this class so that everybody will be set up, and then we can be able to be building stuff and be visualizing it from our laptop. So we have just 5 people out of 19 that are connected on their laptop. That's serious. Okay, Jamil, 6. Adedayo, 7. Okay, so you can just bring down your hands, and then I think we'll proceed with that. And then anybody that doesn't has his own installed, he should make sure that he meets up with his other classmates or his other friends to be able to install VS Code, right? Because that's what we'll be working from, so that we'll understand how this goes. So I think we have to write code on VS Code today and also display it on our browser so that everybody can continue working from home. And then that's where the assignments will come in, right? So you can do it and visualize it from your laptop or from your phone, from the comfort of your house. So let's head over to okay, so let's treat forms before we go into attributes. Nice. So an HTML form is used to collect user inputs. So that's where what forms are used for. An HTML form is used to collect user input. The user input is most often sent to a server for processing. So at the end of the day, when you are coming into web development, like I was explaining, there are two things that work out. Web development has what we call the front end and then the back end. So the front end is what the user sees. Like take for example, when we come to this app, everything we see here is regarded as the front end. And then there's what we call the back end. So the back end is where the server works, whereby information is being processed, whereby information is being gotten from, whereby information is being saved. That's what is called the back end. So the backend works with a database whereby when you send your information, those information are being saved. Anytime you want to retrieve it, you can just go to the backend and the backend can help you retrieve your information, and then you can be able to display it to the user on the front end. Now, when a user wants to save information on the back end, he needs to insert this information on the front end to be able to send it to the back end for processing, right? Because when a user connects to your page, you don't expect it to write a letter to you and send it to you, and then you save the letter on your database. There's what is called input boxes, and we have touchlined some of these. So these input boxes are where a user go to insert his information. Take for example, you go to Facebook and you want to log in your information on the Facebook, right? So Facebook has what we call a form. So what will happen is, let's go to Facebook now. So this Facebook have a form, and then this form takes your email and your password, and then it has a button that clicks and says login. Now, your information, how will Facebook know that I am their user? Or how will Facebook know that I have created an account with Facebook before? So let's try out something and see. So I use my email, and then let me just use. So I'm not on Facebook, so this shouldn't work. So how did Facebook know that the email I entered is not connected to an account? How does Facebook know? Simply because Facebook has a server that has all the information or all the data of the people that have saved, or all the people that have logged in on the Facebook server before. So if you log in on Facebook, or if you create an account on Facebook, the first thing is to create an account, right? If you create an account on Facebook, Facebook stores your information in their database. And then anywhere you want to log in, if you insert your email and your password, Facebook will go and check inside their database. Oh, does this email exist? Yes. Does this email exist? No. Okay, tell this guy that email you entered isn't connected to an account. If it exists, okay, check his password. Is his password valid? Is this the same password? If it's not valid, tell the user that you entered an incorrect password. But if it's a valid password, take the user directly to his dashboard so that he can see his friends and he can send messages, right? So that's how every web app works. That's how every mobile app works. And the only way we can get information from users is through input boxes on the front end. And that's what we are discussing currently. So as you can see, Facebook has their input box where I can insert my email. I can also insert my password. So likewise with our app currently, if we go here, we realize that you can insert your name here. I can still insert my last name. Can click on submit. Right? That's how forms work. And then to set up a form, the first thing you need is a form element. So form element is used to create an HTML form for user input. And then the first thing we have to do is create this form. So when we go here, we'll see form. And then let me just head over to code pen. And then now on that table, I will create a form. And then all I just have to do is say form here. And then now the next thing is to insert the elements or the elements of this form that I want it to display. So first of all, I can say label. So like I told you what label is for. So I can just say label. And then this doesn't have a closing tag. And then, so label name. And then I put the input box. So remember, input box is a self-closing, has a self-closing tag. So nobody mentioned that, right? And then I will say the type of input is text. So you can see the attributes. Now I'm working with attributes also here. Type is an attribute, right? So I'm saying the input type is text. So if this is saved and I go here, you can see it here. Name and then element. So I can also come here then and then insert another label. Yeah, is someone saying something? So your name and your email. And then I do another input box. I do another input and then I call it, oh no. People are always forgetting to tell me that this is a self-closing tag. And then I say the type is email. So there's a type of this called email. Now, simply because when a user enters information, we want him to enter his email, right? So you can see name and then email. So if I type this, and then maybe I click a button, one thing with this email is that it works with validation, except you enter at gmail.com or probably at yahoo.com or at, once it doesn't find this at, it doesn't validate it if you put the input box type of email, right? So just to be clear on that. So this is a simple form. And then I can be able to have maybe, there's another type I can use that can take plenty space. I don't just want to enter, maybe this email is too small. I want someone to insert his description or enter a very long paragraph. I can't just use a normal input box. I can work with what is called a text area. So let's try to insert a text area. So text area. Text area. Oh, this is also self-closing. Yeah. Okay, so text area has opening and closing. Yep. So as you can see, this one takes more data or more information. And I think you can even adjust this. So that's how text area works. You can adjust it to how you want. And then you can insert more. So the more information you add, the more it gets larger, right? As you can see. So basically that's just how text area works. And then inside of the form, you can insert a button or another input type. So there are two different ways to make a button. You can use either an input type or a button. So I can create a new input type here and call it button. So you have to go and study about input types in-depthly. So let's say I add one here and then I say input and then type. I call it button. So it's going to look like a button. And then I'll add a value to it. So the value signifies, okay, what do I want to enter inside? And then I'll say submit. So when we go down here, you see how our button looks like. So can you see? It's still a button, same as this, but it says submit. So I'm saying this input type is of type button. And then I can still create a button here. And still say submit. So this will look exactly as this. Can you see? There's no difference. They are both the same thing. So there are two ways to create a button, either with an input box or traditionally with a normal button. Right? So this is how it works. So basically, we have highlighted almost all the elements that you need in building a web page. Right? So, like I said, for one of your assignments, you have to insert a video. So instead of putting an image, I want you to go and do your underground study, how to insert a video in a web page, and then make sure you insert a video in your web page. So now I think we should head over to semantics, And then after semantics, we go to install our VS Code. So installing our VS Code and running it should be like the last thing for today. But I just hope it doesn't take much of our time, right? So forms too have different attributes. But subsequently, we will learn all of these ourselves. So if you want to put a type, see, there are different input types. This is for checkbox. Can you see? So you can change, you can just do your own and just change to checkbox, and let's see how it works, right? Let's try to use semantics. Okay, so there are another different set of elements called semantic elements. Now, what are semantic elements? So semantic elements equals to elements with a meaning. So it's an element that have a specific meaning. So a semantic element clearly describes its meaning to both the browser and the developer. Examples of non-semantic elements, examples are div, span. So div and span are non-semantic. Tells nothing about a content. So it doesn't describe more about the content of the element. But semantic elements include form. So we have used form. We have used table. And these are semantic elements. And then there's another one called article. So you can also use article to insert bunch of information. It clearly defines the content of what's inside. Like when you see form, you already know that this content is a content of a form that is going to be inside of this element. When you see a table, you already know that all the contents are going to be contents of a table. When you see an article, you already know that these are going to be a bunch of text for an article. So many websites contain HTML code like div. Like, to be honest, that's how virtually all of us build websites, right? We use div for virtually everything. And so, but using semantics, you can use it to explain to the website itself or to the browser and also to the developer what the content does. So both can work. You can use non-semantic and semantics to do your job. All is going to work out for you at the end of the day. But it totally depends on your preference. So some developers decide to use semantics, some do not use. I, for one, don't. But I would advise you do. So these are some semantic elements. As you can see, header. So this defines the header of the page. You can use nav to define the nav bar. You can use session to define a particular section of that web page. Article, aside, this is just like maybe a sidebar. Then the footer, right? So you can see how they work, same as this. So also in your assignment, do well to use semantics. So we are going to give you a basic web page that you can be able to structure, right? And then under article, you can see H2, paragraphs, all are going inside of articles, right? So these are semantics, and this is how they works. So we can try different semantics later on. But for now, I will just advise we just head over to running our GitHub, and then I say GitHub, we should run our VS Code, get it installed, and then we should start using it to display our website on our web page. So currently, I would say everybody should head over to vscode.com. So code.vscode.com. If you already have VS Code installed, please signify so I can see you. And then you can also help us help other people out. Okay. So just 3 people have VS Code on the call. 4. All right, so let's set up VS Code now. So just head over to this website, that's the code.vscode.com or Virtual Studio. So let me post this in the chat, and then you can just access it. So if you don't have VS Code, just head over to this website and then you just go to download. So it knows what kind of laptop you are using or what operating system you are working with. So it already knows I'm working with Mac OS, so that's why it's telling me download for Mac. And then if you are working with any other OS, it will tell you download for that particular OS. So you can just do the download it and then try to open your VS Code so we can get started. So I'll keep this open and I'll allow you guys to go and start installing now. And then I'll give you guys just 5 minutes for the installation. Anybody that's having any issue to signify, if you are currently installing, just signify with an emoji so that I know that you're already there. Nice. Only Joseph. All right, so we'll be back in like 5 minutes to get this and then we'll fix it up. So for now, if you have anything, just call my attention and I can hear you. Thank you.
Please, I have a question, please.
Yeah, shoot, Joseph.
Okay, I just finished installing my software, but I'm seeing updates are disabled because you are running the user scope installation of Visual Studio Code as administrator. Did I do any mistake while installing?
Okay, no, that's not a problem, right? But you can see it in your laptop, right?
Yeah, I can see. I've opened it actually, but on at the bottom right, I'm seeing the stuff
Okay, no,
about
no,
the
no, don't
updates.
worry. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so who else is done? So we can proceed. Okay, Rufai is done. So the rest of us are trying to get it installed. Please signify so I know that we are together, please. Okay, Dave. Nice. Nice. All right, so let's proceed. So I'm going to go back to share my screen, and then I'll open my VS Code and try to work with it. Okay, so I'm currently sharing. So all I just have to do is maybe like go here. So I just click on VS Code, and then this is what you see for the first time. Right? Are we together? Okay, Joseph, you can just bring down your hand, then signify with an emoji if you saw what I did. And then if you are not up to the stage where we are now, just let us know so that we know how to help you out, right? Okay, Halima already has it installed. Okay, nice, nice, nice. So this VS Code, and then VS Code is just your virtual code editor. So every website that you see is just a bunch of folder and files together, right? That contain codes, either HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Rust, Solidity, etc. Right? Every web app, website, DApp, program that you see, that's basically what it looks like. And then since they are just bunch of text, this text editor can help us to outline this, right? So this is how it looks like. And then I can navigate through this. So this is just to open a new file. So with this, I can be able to open a new folder. I can clone a repository, maybe from GitHub. I can search here. This is basically for GitHub and then for extensions, right? So if you already have this installed, I want you to install Live Server. So Live Server will help us to Oh, I don't think I myself have Live Server installed. So let me do that. So now I just go here and I click on open folder. So if I click on open folder, I can see all the folder in my device and select which one I want to work with. But now I don't have a folder, so I want to create a new one, right? So let's head over to create a new folder. So let me create one here, new folder, and I will say first work. So first, let's say first work, right? And then I go back here to my VS Code, and then I open folder. And then I do that first work is under desktop. So I go to desktop, and then I can see first work, and then I click on open. So automatically first work is opened with GitHub, with VS Code, right? And I can be able to work with this. So this is a folder whereby I can be able to create files and write my code inside of this and also view it on the website. So first and foremost, all I just have to do is click here. So clicking this is going to create a new file for me. So you can just navigate this, either click on this one or this. This is to create a new folder. This is to create a new file. This is to refresh. I think this is to duplicate also. I don't know what that's for. But for this file, we just want to create a new file inside of first work. So I'm going to call this file index. So index stands for first. Anything in anywhere programming, web development, once you see index, it stands for first. It's just like the entry file. So that the website is going to understand that this is where this is where this guy wants me to start displaying from. Wants me to start displaying from index, right? Which is like the starting. So it's not like a must that it must be indexed dot something, right? But you can just give it any name and it will still work. But index is more advisable for entry files because there are cases whereby when the browser has maybe a manual failure and you can't tend to read other files, it then routes automatically to the index. So that will always give us a fallback. And then since this is a bunch of files, there's what we call file extension. So this time around, we are creating an HTML file. And then we are trying to say that this file contains the structure of our web page. So we are going to use what is called an extension. So an extension starts with a dot. So we'll say index.html. So this means that this is an HTML file. And then regard this like an HTML file. The content of this is HTML. They can have different names. I can have another file called index.css. So I'm trying to say that this is a CSS file, and then any data I'm going to be inserting here is a CSS file. So for now, we don't need the CSS. So let's take it out. And then let's stick to our HTML. So now let's start writing our code to make it look like a proper HTML page, right, on VS Code. So all I just have to do is insert the doc type. So it has done that for me already, right? Doc type HTML. So what's doc type HTML for? Can somebody help me out? Yeah, shoot.
A doc type HTML signifies that the document that we want to use is a HTML document.
Yeah, any other? Okay, Rufai, let's hear from you.
No, sorry, please. Can you please tell us how to go through it again after installing the VS Code?
Okay. So do you have your VS Code installed now?
Yes.
Okay. So all you just have to do is so let me delete this file. Like I told you, just create a folder in your web page, or just create a folder in your laptop, any folder at all. So like me, I came to my desktop and I created a new folder called First Work, right? And then I opened my VS Code. So let me open a new tab. So I open a new tab, a new window in my VS Code, right? Let me enlarge this. And then I'll click on open. So I can either click this or this open here. So let me go with this one. And then I'll say open folder. So I want to open a folder now. And then the folder I created is in desktop. So I go to desktop. And then the folder I want is First Work. So I click on First Work and I click on open. So it's going to open this on VS Code. Are we together? Rufai, did you get that?
Yes, I'm getting it.
All right, nice. So the next thing I do here is that I just go here and then I have different icons here that can help me either create a folder or create a file. So this time around, I want to create a file. As you can see, this one is saying new folder. This one is saying new file. So if I click on this, I'll then insert the file name and I say index is like the starting point or the entry point for virtually every web page, right? So I'll use index and then I want to signify that this is an HTML page. So I'll use index.html, right? And then I have a new page here whereby I can be able to write the whole structure of my web page. Is that understood?
Yes.
Nice. So the first thing I'll do here is to start doing the foundation of my web page. Like I said, how the foundation looks like, where I have this doc type, right? So let's say doc type. So doc type HTML. You have to type this out. And then, like I said the last time, What is doc type used for? And then someone said it's just to signify that it's an HTML document. And then that's not fully correct. That's why I'm asking if there's anyone that has an alternative answer. All right, shoot.
To know the version of what you are doing, like for the HTML.
Nice. Nice. So this just signifies that this is an HTML5 document, right? Awesome. So thank you for that answer. So the next thing I do in the next line is that I'm going to signify that this is an HTML document. So I just go here and I type HTML. I close it. Now, VS Code helps you with a lot of stuff. With VS Code, you have autocomplete, right? So you don't have to type out everything from scratch like how I was doing in CodePen. If you just type a little, you can either use tab or this to finish it up. So now I'm trying to say that this is an HTML document. That's why I created this HTML tag now. And then in between this, I told you there are two tags that can go in between this. So which one and which one? I told you there are two elements inside of the doc type. So can someone name those two elements?
The head element and the body.
Nice. So we have the heading and the body. So the first thing now we do is to insert the head. And then I say head, tab. Good. So this head contains metadata. So let me use this another thing called comments. Now, comments does not read like code, right? This is what a comment looks like. So let's say heading. This is what a comment looks like. There are different ways to write them. And then the code cannot read this. So the head contains metadata. So let's just say it here. Good. So now, what are the metadata of this website? So let's say title. So let's say title is Fitech community, right? And then the next part I want to work with now is the head. Is the body, sorry. So I've done the head, and notice how I indented it with this. And then the next now I want to do is the body. So I say body. And then inside the body, I want to have a H1. And then I want to say, welcome to our website. So let's use this. Now, let's see how this works with this. So all I have to do is click on go live. I think this should be it. Good. So go live is going to open this as welcome to our website. Now notice something. In the heading now where I put the title, can you notice this? It's saying Fitech community here, right? But it's not displaying Fitech community here, but it's taking it as a metadata. So this is an example of a metadata. So I can still go back and change this title and say Fitech community in Fitech community all over the world. So it depends. And then I can just go back here. And then as you can see, it's showing me here, Fitech community all over the world. So that's just what the title is, and that's what the heading is. It's just to contains the metadata of the listing. And then let's do a comment here for the body and say visible parts of. So beautiful, visible parts of the website. So now I would like you guys are going to tell me yourselves what type of website you want us to create, and then we are going to replicate that, right? So inside this body, what do we put inside? So you tell me the type of website, and then we know the elements that we can insert in it, and then we start building. So someone should suggest a website for us. Or should we still build a website for Fitech? Yeah, I think we should do that. So let's stick to Fitech. Nice. So let's say our website has its header, right? So this time around, we're going to work with semantics. So we say it has its header. So we can just say header, right? And then now notice this header is inside of body. And then we say this, it also has a nav bar. So this is our nav bar now. And then in our nav bar, we have a logo. And our logo is an image, right? So let's try to replicate this. Let's say logo. Let's say image, img. Then we insert the source. Nice. So let's test run something now. So I want to use Fitech image. So I'll go to my WhatsApp and then try to access Fitech community. Okay, so this is it. So let's try to get the image, the profile picture of Fitech, and then use it to build our website. So let's get the link to this image. And then I want to save this image under desktop and inside of first work. So that's where I want to save it. Nice. So I have it downloaded now. And then we can come back here. And you are going to see the image here. Oh, this serious. I think it didn't download well. Sorry, please, let me just go over that again. Or we can still use a totally different image, right? To be able to access that. So I can't find my WhatsApp any longer. So let's go to Twitter and then let's get Fitech community from Twitter and then take out the image there. So Fitech, yep. Awesome. So let's work with this and then let's open image in a new tab. And then we have it in a new tab. So we're going to copy a link to this image and it's going to be the source of this. So I just go back to VS Code and then as my source, I insert this, right? And then when I come back to my website or when I click on go live, it's currently on live. So when I go back to live, I can see it here, right? So this is my image and then this is how it looks like on my website. So all I just have to do now is maybe I can just create a H. So inside this nav bar, I will create maybe like a H1 to say welcome to, or let's just say Fitech community. So we'll just create an H1 that says Fitech community. And then when you come here, you can be able to see Fitech community and then you see our logo down below. right? So the next thing I want to do is that I just want to create a simple form whereby you can enter your email, your password, and then you click on submit. So let's say this is a login page whereby anybody can just come and then log in and access this page. So if you're a member of Fitech community, if you come and you insert your email and your password, you click on submit, it's going to log you in, right? So how do we achieve that? Can somebody tell me?
Using HTML forms.
Yeah, nice. So we can use HTML forms. I just say form. And then the next thing I have to do now is say, then I label it. And I say the first label is for, let's say name. And then this label is name. And then the next thing is an input box, which is where I'm going to collect the user's information, right? So I'll just say input and then the type of input. So as you can see now, you can see all the different type of inputs that we have. Button, checkbox, color. So VS Code is going to help us out to show us all these different things. Search, reset, range, radio, number, mode, etc. File, you can even insert a file. So these are all the things that you can insert it through your HTML element and send it, right? So all I just have to do now is say, okay, since it's name, what I'm going to work with is text. So I click on text, right? And then the next label is for email. So for this name to work, I can just say ID name. So we see our attributes are at work, right? So I can just say email here, and then the input type. So inputs, and then the type is email. Nice. So, and then finally, I'm going to do another last input type. And then I'll call it type of submit or button. So there are two types, right? If the input type is submit, it's going to submit it when you click the button. But with the button, you have to give it a function that is going to run, right? So let's say the value is login. All right, so this is the information, right? You enter your name, this, and then you enter your email. Right, so if it's email, I have to specify this. And then you can click on login, and with that, you can be able to access more things, right? So this is just like our simple login page, whereby users can be able to come, insert their information. Maybe we can add more things like their phone numbers. So let's add more things, or maybe a date. So let's say we want them to insert their date of birth, right? So let's do a label here. And then this label is for dates of birth. And then the input type is going to be of type what? Can somebody guess?
Numbers.
I don't think it's of type numbers. So we're going to work with type of dates. So if you insert dates here, and then we save this and go back here. So you can see somebody can select his date of birth here. I can choose the year. So which year were you born in? You can just scroll through, select the year you were born, and then select the month. And then at the end of the day, you select the day, and then you have it checked in here. Right? So there are more things, there are plenty things we can submit, and then we can also work with files, whereby we want a user to insert his file. So maybe let's say you go on Facebook, and then Facebook is telling you upload your profile picture. So how does Facebook get your profile picture? Let's see how we can work with that here. So let's say label, and then let's say profile pic. and this is the input. So inputs, let's say type. So what type are we going to work with here? So file. Work with type of file. So when a user comes here, all you just have to do is select. So profile pic is a choose file. So if you click on this, you can be able to access the files in my device. So I have a picture. Then let's say downloads. So I think I can find pictures in my downloads. Then I can click on it and then open. And as you can see, it's showing me 1.jpg, meaning it has uploaded it here. Then I can click and find it. Right? So these are the different things you can do. Is there anybody that has a question?
How do you for there are some files there's some website that you can now upload there's a restriction on the file size I can upload. How you do that?
Yeah. It's simply because of the maybe the size of their database that they work with. So at first, it's you specify maybe the particular size that you want the user to be able to upload. I think there should be an attribute for that. So let's check it out. Files. Okay, it should be on that form. So file. So just hang on. So basically, they themselves, they have set that on their backend already, that this is the particular size that they are expecting to have. So you can't give them anything more than that, right? And then when you try to upload a file, it reads it and it knows like the size that you are trying to upload. So mostly that works with JavaScript. I don't think that works with HTML directly. Yeah, it doesn't. So it's JavaScript that can help us do that, right? So there are also different styles that we can add up. And let's say range. So let's label something, and then range can work with let's say how satisfied are you? Okay, how happy are you? Then we have an input of type. So the type here will be range. And then I'll set a max value and a minimum value. So I can say max of 100, min of 20. Now let's see how this will work. So you see how it works. How happy are you? Range. So somebody can pick the range. I can choose to increase this and say I'm very happy. I can choose to reduce this. Like that, like that, like that, like that. That's how range works. This is the same thing that you use in your music stuff, whereby you are listening to music and then it's counting, etc. Right? So basically, this is just how all of this work. So I think we have less than 10 minutes on our side. So I'm going to give rooms now for questions. So anybody that has a question can just ask, and then we can be able to. And then if there's anything you don't have that's running currently, we can be able to fix that up for you before the class ends. So I'm giving room for questions, please. Okay, so everyone is good to go. No, I can see. Yeah, Rufai.
Yeah, well done. Thanks for everything. I said there are some maybe some terms you use that I think you should be explaining, because I'm a beginner, like I don't know anything about tech at all. So this is my first time of attending. For example, you mentioned GitHub. Like, I don't know what that means.
Okay. So I will explain GitHub. So GitHub is just where you save your code or your software code. Like you explained, it's where the world builds software. So GitHub allows you to collaborate with a lot of developers. You can upload your files that you worked in there, just like where you can save and where you can work with your creating your website or your web apps. That's what GitHub does. Just a simple overview of how it works, right? So as a developer, you are supposed to be using GitHub, and then we'll teach you how to make use of GitHub. But for now, I would just advise you head over to github.com so you can be able to know what's happening in there. Just familiarize yourself with it a little, and then you know what's up. Yeah, we're together.
Yes.
Good morning, all. I'm very happy to be on this space, and then today we learned about the basic fundamentals of web design. And basically, we looked at HTML and CSS. And then you said the basics for designing a web development, we need to know much languages, programming languages. And then you made mention of HTML, which we are still discussing, and you said HTML is a markup language. And then in web design, we need to explore plenty or much programming language. So in brief, can you please differentiate what a markup language and a programming language is, if it is necessary, please? Thank you.
Okay, so just like the name implies, right? A markup language, uh, it just specifies like how a structure of something, how it's going to look like. It doesn't bring any functionality to it. Now, for the fact that we designed this whole thing doesn't mean that it's functional. It doesn't mean that if we click a button, it will work. We're just structuring it out so that a user can have a visual representation and know what and what we are working with, and then know that this is a button for him to click. And that's what markup languages help us to do. But programming languages bring functionalities into the flow. Programming languages help us to, let's say, as the name implies, programming, give a certain functionality to a button, or maybe write a certain function that works when you trigger it, or maybe when you click something, or maybe when you tap a link. That's what programming languages do. But the markup languages are just to give us a structure of what this looks like, of how we want it to be. So HTML is, though there's still a lot of debate about that, and I would not like to pick a side, but a lot of people say it's not a programming language, and I tend to agree with them that HTML is not a programming language. It's just a hypertext markup language. So I hope that's clear.
Sure, it is. Thank you.
All right. So to the people on the call, it's time for my questions before I will give out your assignment. So you are going to get your assignment probably a little bit later in the day when the evening session is done. That's when you get your assignment. And then, but I just want to know, some people haven't spoken today, so I just want to hear from them, right? And then I hope that everyone has filled out the attendance, because we need that to take this seriously. So Taibat, let's hear from you. Olayinka Yusuf. You didn't speak the last time. So what have you learned so far from today's class, and has it been interesting?
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Yeah,
Can you
good
hear
morning.
me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, good morning. Yeah, thank you very much for the lecture. It was quite insightful, and I've been able to understand web development and how to use HTML. Though we are just starting, but the introductory lecture is really helpful, and you made it so well explanatory and easy enough to understand. So I believe that by the end of the lecture, I'll be able to like do so many things.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very
So
much.
that's the idea, right? Everybody should be able to do like a lot of stuff. Like I said, there should be no limitations to what you are doing. Don't be limited by what we are teaching in the class. So go extra mile, go forward, learn as fast as you can be able to learn and come up with your questions. We are always ready to answer you. And then aside that, do well to reach out to everyone on the call. Be friends with virtually everybody. And then I don't know how to do it, but I will give out my Twitter handle. So I'll just give it out on the chat now because that's why I operate more. So just check it out at Manoa Luca on Twitter. Follow me and then do well to send me a DM. So anytime you have any issue or anything at all, just send me a DM, right? And I will always advise that you guys always study together, study with your friends so that you are all going to be accountable with one another. Are we together? So we have just remaining 5 minutes for the call. I'm hoping to see your follows and then your DMs on Twitter so I can be able to reply all of them. If you have any issue, either setting up VS Code or setting up anything at all, just let me know so I can help out. So I'm giving room for one more question before we call it a day. I know today has been a hectic and a boring day for you guys. So I'll just be on my Twitter and I'll check in.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Manoa. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ahmad. I can hear you. Sorry, my mic was moved.
Okay, how is the session, sir? I am really excited how it went, and it's very insightful, and a lot of us have learned more than a lot. We are really grateful for this opportunity, and we are always ready to be disturbing you up and down.
So I'm ready for all your disturbances, right?
Thank you very much. It's just an appreciation, sir. Thank you.
No problem, my boss.
Mhm. Sorry, sir. We the video for this particular class be made available.
Yeah, I think it's going to be made available to everyone so you can be able to rewatch again. And then to anything you miss, you can be able to pick it up from there, right? So do well to always message me and then I'll be hoping to hear from you all. So without any further ado, I think we are going to call it a day and then see you guys on Thursday. So I don't know how the evening session will be, whether you guys are also supposed to join that session. But yeah, I think so. But as for me, we are not going to meet until on Thursday in the morning. So all your morning classes are always be available on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So do well to always come early because I don't like late coming. And then I start as soon as the class begins, right? So when it's 9, we'll start. Not like today that we had to wait a little bit of minutes for some people. We don't have time on our side and we have to be able to cover like a lot of stuff with what we are working with, right? So thank you for your time and then do have or do enjoy the rest of the day. See. Okay, Rufai, you have something to say?
Yeah, I've followed you now on Twitter, but it's saying I can't message you directly because I'm not verified. What does it mean?
Don't worry, let me follow you back.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so you can message me now.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys, we'll keep discussing, right? See you.